Welcome to the Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
Melanie?
I'm outraged!
And are you guys ready? You knew eventually this show would just become this. Here's our feature topic. Snyder Watch. Hey, Savannah, you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
Hi, Savannah. Thanks for tuning in.
Howdy.
You've been waiting for this episode. I know you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about tonight, because this is the Nights.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about Justice League, but not anyone's old Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League. He owns it.
This is not your Whedon's Justice League, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
No. God, there's so many things. Okay. Before we jump right into that, because that is my goal. We're going to jump right into it. I don't want to lose Savannah instantly. Yeah, I know. We usually don't do that news, but we will do that news.
Yeah.
First off, though, how are you two doing? What's going on?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm all right.
How are you, Randy?
I'm excited, man. I'm more excited than you guys. I'm more excited than I have a right to be for this.
Mm-hmm.
I was weirdly excited for this movie, given how much we've dumped on basically everything since Batman v Superman.
Yeah. Or before, even.
Or before.
Yeah.
I'm like the daywalker of this whole thing. I am not a Zack Snyder fan, but I like some of his movies, some of his DC movies. Whereas generally, we are not. It's not like we're not DC fanboys. I think it's ridiculous to like paint it in that DC versus Marvel thing. But we're not fans of what Warner Brothers has done with the DC properties in general. Okay. Well, let's react to a little news. Melanie had messaged me this shortly before we went live. Jessica Walter passed away. Now, why would people know Jessica Walter?
Arrested Development and Archer.
Right.
I forget the character's name in Arrested Development, but she played Mallory in Archer. And she was just an awesome lady. And she was the actress version of Savannah's Grandma Sue. And Grandma Sue was freaking awesome. So, so was Jessica Walter.
And we happen to be watching Archer right now. And Archer's one of those, it's not all the characters, but her character very much, like, it looks like, some of the characters they model after the people playing them. So it's very much looks like her, and the attitude is very much the attitude she plays with a lot of her. She played with a lot of the characters she was.
Right.
Or whatever. I said that weird. All right.
So was she the mom in the Bluth family?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was exceptional. Like, she was a great character actor for sure.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is a good way to start. You know what? This is maybe the only appropriate way to start the Snyder Watch, with the death of someone.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's how it starts, and then you gotta, make up a bunch of ridiculous crap to have a reason to bring it back.
After someone dies, you can hear their voice on all corners of the earth.
Yeah,
even under the water. Without the use of a bubble, I might add.
Bring out the rural coastline folk singers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
you know
goodness.
What? It was like Superman became the Wub Wub machine. for this.
It went full circle. He
With his
became the
dying
Wump Woman.
breath. Yeah.
Well, we can't wait, can we?
We really can.
Hey, who else is out there? Who? Oh, it's probably Jesse, huh?
Actually, not yet.
Okay. Anyway, you know, I feel like Savannah's our main audience right now, and she doesn't want to hear it. But you know what?
Right.
We're sorry, Savannah. It's time to talk about Justice League.
Yeah.
Do we need to do some recent reviews or recent watches? Did you guys watch anything else? Because this took 4 hours to watch.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Not really. We've been just kind of bouncing between Archer, and I think we finally got through stuff we'd already seen before. And because we fell off, I don't know, at some point.
Like
we
season
just stopped.
7.
Did you watch the last Blockbuster? Did you watch any of those documentaries? No.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched. This is not the only thing I watched on HBO Max this week. Actually, I watched. I actually watched the McCain documentary, and I was shocked at a few things. Like, first of all, I know it's a documentary, and so it's going to have its bias, and it's going to appeal to me specifically. I feel like this McCain documentary was made for like the more liberal people too.
Okay.
And we're like, listen, he wasn't just a Republican kind of thing. But there were some things that genuinely shocked me because I've on my political spectrum, which will maybe surprise or not surprise anyone, I'm an independent. And I lean very independent. And one of the things I've been saying is that what we need in this country, if we want to achieve actual bipartisanship, is a candidate to, I don't know, for lack of a better phrase, nut up or shut up, and because it'll probably be a man. Let's be real. Get a running mate from the opposite party. And I was shocked to find out that McCain, that's exactly what McCain wanted, and his party wouldn't let him do it.
They gave him Sarah Palin.
They made him go.
They gave him Sarah Palin.
Yeah, and he could have made history.
Was she the Republican Party's idea of like being progressive? It's a woman.
Yeah, I think so.
He wanted his best friend. God. He wanted Joe Lieberman. It was like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like Joe Lieberman's no like all-star progressive, but like that's just shocking on the face of it. I was compelled. This documentary was oddly compelling. You know, a show about McCain should not have interested me this much, but it actually was really interesting on a lot of levels. And it's like a surprisingly good depiction of how our politics have gotten just progressively worse. Pun intended, always.
So I just got to throw it out there. I mean, if you want somebody who's just middle of the aisle, vote Democrat. You'll get the best of both worlds, or the worst of both worlds, to be honest.
Yeah, because you're biding your time.
Yeah. Because, listen, Republicans, it might surprise you to hear, the Democratic Party is not left-wing. There are a few outliers that might actually be progressive. The Democratic Party is way closer to right-wing than anything left-wing.
Yeah, we look.
So I don't know why
the Democratic Party looks like the Republicans of the '80s almost. We're getting there, you know.
It's not my point.
Anyways, I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole so completely. I also watched a documentary, Persona. It was about basically personality tests, that kind of thing. And it really dives into, and it hit home. That one hit home for me too. Like how people use personality tests, how they were used and now how they are used. And now how they are used is like to screen applicants before they ever get an interview. And that hits home because I think I got, what's the term? Like not redlined. That's a different term, but it's like, it's similar to that where it's like, you got red zoned or something. Like this is basically a red flag because this turned up on your personality quiz, and we can't hire you because this infers that you may be more likely to steal. Right, that kind of thing. You know, like you take a little quiz, and from that, now they're like, well, he might not be the most authentic person or whatever. Like because he changed his answer between this and this, you know.
Yeah.
And that happens. Like there's a lot of people who can't get jobs because of this.
Yeah, I remember many years ago, before I met Randy even, I got in trouble for helping someone when we were both taking a test to become management at this place. And I wasn't cheating, and it was a big thing. I'm like, I wasn't cheating. She couldn't understand the questions. So I was explaining the questions to her, but I didn't answer for her because you can't answer for them because it's personal questions, and what they're doing is checking to make sure that you are not erratic and all over the place, that you actually have a personality that, you know, that has a pattern that they can read that says, yeah, this person would be good for management. So me giving her an answer to the random questions she didn't know wouldn't have done her any good at all. And actually she didn't get the job, but I did. Haha.
When they also are like using these personality quizzes to almost red flag mental illness in people that has gone undiagnosed. So it's like, not only did you not get the job, but you may have a mental illness and we didn't tell you.
I mean, and isn't that a form of discrimination?
Yeah, it is.
I hate how mental illness is viewed in this country because it's an illness like any other disease. And they're not allowed to discriminate based on other diseases. So I'm not.
If you put that on your application, they couldn't discriminate. But if you take a quiz or a personality test, then they can say, well, you just might not be the right fit.
Right.
And it gives them plausible deniability to say no before you even get an interview.
Savannah makes a good point of, you know, you're supposed to tell the job what they want to hear. And that's the thing. Like most people, do a lot of people answer those things honestly? I mean, I'm guessing some of us do.
One more story, real quick. Can I tell another? I went to another job, and they had. It wasn't even really a personality question. Well, maybe kind of. It was more of a like, you know, this is the situation. Would you take these office supplies, or would you, you know, whatever? But there was a part in this where it was like, how much per month do you spend on illegal substances? And I was like, does anybody ever put anything in there besides zero? And they were like, oh yeah, no, they do all the time. And I'm like, are you serious? Who are these people that are like, yeah, no, I spend like, you know, $300 a month on drugs and then expect to get a job? But you know, people do. So there you go.
One of the, was it 2 times I think I worked for Walmart years and years ago. I don't remember what the question or the answer was, but I answered, you know, they did the thing. And then they asked me about one of the questions. Like, obviously, I answered it in a way they weren't expecting or whatever. But they asked me to clarify what I meant. And I explained, I was like, well, the question was this. And so I answered this because this reason. And they're like, oh, okay. And it's like, well, if your test, like, that's not a good test if, like, whatever I had answered is still fine, but, like, broke the question, I guess. I don't know. It's just like your test is broken. That said, there have been other jobs that I've straight up walked out of filling out the application because they do the quiz.
Right.
And I was doing the quiz and I got to some question about anger. And I'm like, this makes me angry. But,
and the secret is.
But the point is, like, it hit a point where I'm like, are you, like, this is invasive. This is, like, weird and unnecessary for whatever crap, most likely minimum wage job it was I was applying for. Like, no, yeah, I'm angry now because this is inappropriate.
Right. Yeah.
So I just straight up walked out of job situations because of those tests. It's crap.
Yeah. So those were the two, like I mean, they've been good conversation starters for sure. But those weren't those. Like, documentaries are fun, but they're not fun. Then I watched the last Blockbuster, but we don't need to get into that too much.
Was it
The
good?
one that yeah, it was all right. I mean, it is what you kind of expect. It basically chronicles, the fact that there's only one left, kind of thing, and
I
what's
think it's
going on.
weird that there can be one left, and from what Andrew was saying in, I had posted something about it, and I haven't watched it, but Andrew had said something about, because my whole deal with Blockbuster is like, F them, they were the Walmarts of video stores, but he pointed out like the last one is just pretty much a mom and pop shop,
Yeah.
which is weird, but also like, how do they have the rights?
So that's the part that's really kind of shady, is that Dish Network bought out Blockbuster ages ago. They still have to pay for the rights to be Blockbuster, and every year they go through this like stressful period of, will they let us re-up?
Oh,
It was
so they're
like,
still like a
at this point they should be like, you're the lone bastions of this property. This property is worth $0 to us after you close. So yeah, you can do that for however long you want for free. That's what should be happening, but it's not. They're paying every year to be Blockbuster.
I don't know why, but that reminds me of a thing I saw recently where I think it's in Illinois somewhere. There was a like mom and pop shop called Burger King before Burger King became a thing, but it was only registered or trademarked or whatever in that city. So in that city, Burger King can't be Burger King, or there can't be Burger Kings there because it is Burger King. But everywhere else in the world, it is not.
That's interesting.
I like that. I like that they, I mean, I'm guessing maybe that city just isn't that important, but I like that they either haven't caved or Burger King hasn't tried to be like, we're going to buy your trademark or whatever from you in that city. There's a Burger Queen somewhere around here I've seen once.
Yeah. There's a Dairy King too.
Yeah,
Yep.
Dairy
I
King,
love those like obvious, just almost
But they
knockoffs.
even said, like, what will you do if they don't re-up? Like, what would you do? Just like rename it and be like Buster Video or whatever. You're like,
Yeah.
what can we do that's the least change possible? But yeah.
It'd be Box Custer.
Right. So the one movie that I watched, though, the like movie, was called VFW. Have you heard of this? Because I had not heard of it until just recently, but I saw it because Martin Cove is right there on the cover, and it's got all these epic old guy actors. It's kind of like Senior Citizen Expendables,
Right. Okay.
which is only one step removed from the Expendables. So
how was it? I think I've heard very little about it, but I remember seeing a trailer once for it or something.
it's simultaneously not a great movie and not bad at all. Like so what it really made me think of, and this is ironic, it made me think of the Warriors. And why that's ironic is what's his name? The guy who plays T-Bird is in it. He's right there in the bandana.
Yep.
I think that's T-Bird. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Interesting.
I actually don't know the premise of it, but it looks like they're having to fight something.
Yeah, but like it's like a hyper. It's like a future, so it's very much like the Warriors, where it's like a undisclosed future, and there's like this specific drug that's out there that's supposed to be like better or worse than any other drug, and so it's like the new opium addiction craze kind of thing, or opiate addiction, and so this gal essentially steals it and breaks into busts into this VFW. So this VFW is now under siege by all these like crazy druggies trying to get these drugs back. And it's super hyper violent and all these awesome things.
Sorry,
like
it's super.
It was a little. I mean, like it was a little much. Like there was that's like just over the edge gore factor, where it's just like, oh, that's a little uncalled for. And then it was like, maybe that's why I like this. I don't know why I like this. It's kind of schlocky. It's kind of great.
I realize it's just showing certain people, right?
Right.
But I like it's a whole bunch of like old actors, and then some girls. And there's the ladies.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's
Yeah, no, this is not passing the Bechdel test at all.
Savannah says she rewatched Atomic Blonde because the soundtrack is amazing.
And you don't watch movies anyway; you just listen to them. Sorry.
It's weird.
No, it's not entirely. It's not entirely true.
It's probably true. She's probably. I don't know what Savannah does on the computer. She's probably doing computer things.
Okay, Savannah, I'm sorry I padded this out as long as I could, but that's all I got.
Well, we happened to watch another movie, Justice League. You might have heard of it.
Oh, yeah?
2017, directed by Joss Whedon. No, even the 2017 version isn't credited. It's credited to Zack Snyder, and
right.
I mean that's probably still appropriate because. Okay, so yeah, no, we're gonna talk about Zack Snyder. We're gonna talk about the Snyder Cut because it's finally here. We talked a little bit offline about it. I agree, Jesse. Like I am a little surprised at how much praise it's gotten, just kind of across the
almost
board.
Universal. I don't know. I'm seeing a few outliers, but like most people universally are hailing it.
Yeah.
I wonder. Oh, I got to look up the. Not that it means anything. The Rotten Tomato score.
Oh, there was an article on that.
73 tomato meter, which is still fresh.
Right.
And that's critics. 96% audience score. That's kind of crazy high.
I think
shenanigans.
That's the movement.
No,
yeah, exactly.
What it probably is like you were saying, Randall. It's like people are watching it. You're like, oh, you know what? This makes slightly more sense, and is it quite as crap? So I think it's great, but it's not great. It's just a little bit better. But our standard is so freaking low right now that that it seems amazing to us.
I mean, okay. For me, I think it does benefit from the bar being so low for the original theatrical release.
Yeah, you automatically just compare it against itself.
And I do want to handle this review kind of backwards because eventually it is just going to be us pulling it apart. Yeah. I want to start with star ratings, which you guys don't usually do, but I want to start with star ratings because I think I have some explaining to do. Okay. So I'll go ahead and start with mine. I was surprised to see when I logged into Letterboxd, I was like, what did I give the theatrical cut? I gave the theatrical cut 3 stars. So, and I know we talked about it on the show years ago, but I didn't revisit that episode. So I don't know what I said or what my reasoning was. But I do remember yeah, okay, it's fine. And that's why I say this benefits from the inferior version of it, the bar being so low that we're just like, so long as it's not awful, it'll be fine. And it was fine. So Melanie and I watched this. We did pause so she could smoke and we'd read up on snacks or go to the bathroom during like the chapter breaks. But otherwise we watched it in one sitting and one go. I don't remember where I was going with that point exactly, but I ended up giving this. I was like, it's not 4 stars. It's if I gave, and I know I try not to do this. I try not to compare the star ratings because you just got to go with the gut. But I was like, I give Justice League 3 stars. This is better than the theatrical version, for sure. But I cannot go 4 stars on this because it's not any kind of great. It still is flawed. It has the same flaws. The flaws are not that much different. And maybe a few new ones. So I went 3.5. I went 3.5, which feels kind of high, but also like, I didn't hate it. I didn't. I feel like I'll probably be maybe the more positive of us when it comes to this. One of.
Right. I may have a slightly better score just by virtue of my own math.
I think it's a problem when we have to like, here's my star rating, but listen, we have to walk through some steps. We need to solve. We need to carry the two. We need like there's some things. We have some math equations to work out here.
We're nerds on the internet, Randy. We're wrong. We're just wrong. Period. Full stop.
Right.
Having said that, keep listening to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like I just kind of jumped in, but so I guess I'm going to continue. With I don't know what my rating was, but I remember liking the original cut of the Justice League because for a couple of key reasons, because it was a course correct on the mood, this broody mood that was going on in all of the movies that were happening for DC. And so I felt like even Joss Whedon's cut of it was a breath of fresh air in terms of what they were doing with Superman, and even the ridiculously bad CGI correction of the mustache. They open with Superman being friendly and like a superhero. That kind of thing. Like, so I mean, I know that's not a universally loved scene, but I liked the vibe they were finally giving Superman, even in Joss Whedon's cut. So I think if we go back and listen to that episode, I'm sure we pulled that thing apart with our teeth because it was not a great movie. But I also had a surprisingly positive vibe about it. This movie, I will concede, it did not suck in the ways that I thought it would. That's about as far as I'm going with that. But it is better. It is better for sure. I have to concede that much, that it is as a quality product, it is better overall. So whatever I gave, I'm going to be very much the same. It's like, okay, if the last movie was 3 stars, if the last movie was good, then this is 3.5. This is just incrementally better. So whatever I gave it, give it just incrementally a nudge. So if I gave it 3.5 last time, you're gonna have to give this thing a 3.6. It ain't going full 3/4.
Okay.
All of a star except the very top.
Oh, you're trying to pull a Jasper on me. You're like, 3 stars and like one arm of it, of the next star. What? Melanie, if you were to give this a rating out of 5, what would you give it?
I don't know. 2.5.
Okay, that's not as bad as I expected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, something's got to be pretty bad to get a 1 for me. True. 2 is not uncommon for things like this. That I don't. I mean, maybe. I hate to be like Snyder has no real passion, or I don't know what I'm trying to say. Is just that he slaps stuff together and then paints it so it looks pretty. That's real. So I don't really care for. Actually, 300 I liked, but everything else, I don't think I'm a particularly big fan of. And this movie, I don't remember the old one. I mean, I do now since I watched this one. I kind of remember it, but I didn't remember it before, and I don't remember what was different about it, other than somehow this one seemed to make a little bit more sense because it seemed like there was a lot of just jumping into things for no reason in the first time around, and in this one there was maybe some more backstory to it, but then again, some of the backstories were kind of boring and sucked too. So there you go.
Okay, well that kind of brings me to, and I'm sorry, I don't know that you'll have a lot to contribute on this point, Melanie. We talked about it a little bit before the stream, but okay, so what? Sorry, I'm checking messages. Nothing new. What would you say then is the most surprising, maybe for the better, or just surprising change or addition or whatever, or I guess removal from the theatrical cut? What is the most surprising aspect of this to you? What element, or whatever, however you take that.
Adding a trailer for a movie that's never going to happen to the end of it, I would say is
oh man, you had to go there already.
I mean, it's yeah. Sorry.
let's not dive too far into that yet. Because there's so much to chew on there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good though. That's good.
Okay.
Jesse, ignoring that for a moment.
Yeah, no,
I could see the blood pressure.
To shake that off, man. You guys could see it. I know, like, you video watchers in the live here are like seeing that I'm scratching at my own skin, ready to tear this thing apart. But I'm going to be positive for a while, because disclaimer. I should have thrown this disclaimer at the onset. I said it with my star review. I do generally like this version better. I do like that it happened. I do like that Joss Whedon got to finish it, because the other one was not
Zack Snyder.
Yeah, whatever I said.
Well, now the ball's in Whedon's court. Now he gets to go finish reshooting the entire movie. Give us the Whedon cut, like the real Whedon.
Wouldn't that be interesting? He gets to shoot, like, he gets a couple $1 million. He gets to reshoot large portions, not just little portions, large portions.
Or
better CGI.
Hire him to do the Cyborg movie. That's never going to happen.
Mustache. Oh God. See, okay. Okay, that's actually a good segue, because that was going to be my most surprising thing. Is just how much of the Cyborg story really was absent. Like, that's probably the biggest surprise. That and the Flash. Like, I know I'm kind of parroting things that other people have probably said. Cyborg and Flash were the most improved by this new cut, by far. Cyborg in particular, because he had like no story before. Makes me wonder about the whole Ray Fisher thing. You're like, yeah, they cut a lot of his work from the movie.
They kind of Ghostbustered him.
Yeah.
So, okay, the Flash, yeah, they did cut some of his stuff, but I feel like my pick is for like the most surprising element is definitely the Cyborg stuff, because leading up to this, I'd heard Zack Snyder talk about how Cyborg's really the heart of this movie. And I mean, I don't know what way he meant that. If he meant like the emotional heart, I disagree. I don't feel like his character arc, it's cliche and very one note. He's just moody the whole time, beginning to end. But
he's Spock.
Yeah, but plot-wise, he is absolutely like pivotal to the entire plot, and I'm amazed that they cut all of that out. Like, they cut all of that out to where he is a non-character in the theatrical cut. So I was surprised at how much, whether you think it was compelling or not. I know Melanie could do without the football scene and the car accident, like so much of his stuff. I know she had complaints while we were watching it.
He had a mom, dude.
Right, like, yeah. And just how kind of important they made him to the mother box situation.
Right.
I was very surprised at how his dad, which is a whole other stupid thing, but I was very surprised at how much Cyborg there was that they were actually able to take out because of how important he was to the plot. Like, not like, not the character arcs or anything like that, but just the actual plot itself.
Can I flip side this surprise? So the flip side surprise to this is that Superman was not as big a deal at all. Like, his impact was greatly lesser than in the Whedon cut.
He almost kind of was, other than some of the end, like, basically the end is different. We won't have to go into that yet either, but like, it's pretty much just kind of extended Lord of the Rings style, where it just keeps going. Other than him being in the end a little bit longer, just because the end is longer itself, he kind of has the same amount of screen time. I mean, I don't know that it's like specifics, but any scene in this with Superman that wasn't in the theatrical cut, they simply reshot new scenes in the theatrical cut, new dialogue scenes, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, he didn't really get anything new, other than the opening. But yeah, no, that's a good point. I was actually a little surprised at how unimportant the dark Superman aspect of this was, I kind of figured Snyder's version would take that farther, but then again, it clearly not. It plays out the same, or as has less impact in a way, and it's kind of my beef with Batman v Superman and just the concept of this and as a whole is Snyder picks great, or the writers he works with, however he didn't write these, but however that works, they pick great comic book storylines to work from. You got Dark Knight Returns, you got Death of Superman in there, you've got all kinds of stuff. They hinted at Injustice type storyline in the what would have been the sequel to this. But my problem with Snyder, or just whatever, the whole team, is they're like, let's just take little elements and cram it all together so that none of it gets done in a justified manner. It's all there, but not really.
Right.
It's there on surface. It's like killing him at the end of Batman v Superman. It's like, what's the point? Not only do we know he's coming back, you teased at the end of Batman v Superman that he's coming back, so there's no suspense, and it's Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going to die forever.
So I want to kind of shout out, and also it's kind of lament that Paul is not here in the chat tonight, because he recently released an episode of his Bull Spit with Moose podcast where he reviewed, he didn't review, but he interviewed the author of the book, Release the Snyder Cut, which is about the whole movement. And the reason that I bring that up is that there was an interesting point. Oh, hey, there he is. It's like I summoned him. It's crazy.
It is like you summoned him. I was about to say, how is Paul not here?
Yeah.
Right.
This episode's for you, Paul.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyways,
I wanted to point out there was a lot of great stuff in that interview, and you guys should check that out, especially if you're interested in the Snyder Cut movement. But there was a thing that was said by the author, and I agree with it, and it makes me mad at the same time.
Oh, really?
And that thing that was said that is also true is that Batman v Superman, the extended edition, and I think we've even talked about this, the extended edition is so much better than the original edition, the theatrical cut.
Mm-hmm.
This version is better than the theatrical cut. Do you know where I'm going with this? Zack Snyder, for whatever ungodly reason, needs 3 hours or more to tell a good story.
Mm-hmm.
And he's being hailed for that. Look, if you make a good 3-hour movie, that's great. Great. But I'm going to say that could be a flaw.
No, I think it is a flaw, because it's a flaw in his, again, stylistically, his movies look great.
Mm-hmm.
From a storytelling point of view, I think that's where his biggest flaws lie as a director, because you can trim it. He's excessive. He's self-indulgent,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not necessary, because it's not like some of these stories are so complex you just need 3 hours to tell. It's like, no, he overcomplicates it and then shoots literally 10% of the movie in slow motion, so that you can't trim it down without it feeling incomplete just because of the way it's made. It's because there's so much in there that doesn't need to be in there. But if you remove little bits and pieces, you're like, something's missing. So when you put those pieces back, you're like, oh, well, at least it feels whole now. Even though Batman v Superman, yes, the extended cut, at least it feels whole. Those little multiple, totally unimportant, eventually go nowhere subplots actually make sense now.
Right.
Ignoring the fact that they don't need to be there at all.
Mm-hmm.
That whole entire Batman v Superman, this is off topic, but it's the bigger issue. The whole thing with him going over to, the Jimmy, what's his name?
Jimmy Olsen
scene, where he gets shot and Superman goes over and saves Lois Lane. Like, that entire thing doesn't need to be there. They're not. It makes less sense that that would be an issue in the court system, that they're debating over that, than the entire city that got destroyed during a fight with Superman. Like, that's the thing that they should be having court hearings about. Why even include this whole little subplot about the bullet that came from LexCorp? It's so stupid. So that's the issue. It's not that.
And you can't split this in half either. Like the obvious thing would be like, well, this should have been a couple of different movies. There's not a good beat to end it on. It actually has to be 4 hours long. It actually has to be a 3-hour Batman v Superman in order for it to be fully cohesive. At that point, dude, you need to be doing miniseries, not movies.
I would argue that this didn't need to be 4 hours because of the separate endings that didn't really do anything for the movie, in my opinion. None of those needed to be there, especially especially the one that really the one that had been the end after the trailer. Why are you going to show me this? Oh my God, it's this new character and new information, and turn around and like 2 minutes later, oh, the person who is supposed to be going to kill Batman is now teamed up with him and going on adventures. Don't introduce me to him like it's a big weird
Can we talk about this now?
Okay, fine. We're going to talk about the end. By the way, I do want to once again reiterate, Paul, Bullspit with Moose, he had the interview. I just had the page open and I closed it. Hold on. Reopen. Where's it at? Reopen, close tab. Okay. He interviewed Sean O'Connell, who works with Cinema Blend or whatever. So I was a little surprised by that. And I was like, oh, hey, we've used your news a lot. But he interviewed Sean O'Connell, who wrote Release the Snyder Cut, which is a book, as we said, about the movement. It was a good interview, Paul. We listened.
Yeah, it's a great, definitely, and I would recommend it as a corollary to this for sure.
And I didn't understand, like, because I didn't know who the guy was initially before when Paul had first told us about it. So my assumption was he was some fanboy who was like, I'm going to write a book about the Snyder Cut. He's an entertainment journalist. I'm sorry for the quotes, but, he is an entertainment journalist. And he's
I would give him that. He's a journalist. He actually does what journalists are supposed to do.
Right.
And because it's entertainment, he's allowed to be an actual journalist.
Right. Exactly. I mean, if it was like politics or something.
If it were like world news or something, they'd tell him what to say.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the access. He was around throughout, like, following the story. And it seems like, and I haven't read the book, but it seems like the book was probably written from the point of view of, like, this is a fascinating anomaly in, the history of movies or whatever. And I've said before, part of the reason I was so kind of fascinated by the Snyder Cut, when they're like, hey, we're going to release it, it's real, is because director's cuts and just, like, studio interference in movies is a thing that does fascinate me. So I'm very curious I don't know how much the book goes into that aspect, but, like, it's definitely more interesting to me knowing that the writer is somebody who probably came at it from a little bit more that perspective than just, like, a fanboy in the movement.
Right.
Right.
In fact, he interviewed a lot of people in the movement, which
go to
is interesting.
electronicmediacollective.com/bullspit. That's SPIT. And it's his most recent episode currently right now. So that's, worth a recommend. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
You guys are ready?
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Because I have to piggyback on what Melanie started, because she's absolutely 1,000% correct.
Full spoilers. For this movie that everybody's already seen.
Mm-hmm.
He was there the whole damn time and did nothing.
Who? What? Who?
Martian Manhunter. He was, or should I say Martha Manhunter?
Right.
He was there the entire time, did nothing, didn't help save the universe in any substantial way other than to say, hey, Lois Lane, you should go back to work instead of laying around like a lazy do-nothing. And then at the end, he has the gall to come up to Batman and be like, hey, I really like what you guys did, saving the whole universe and whatnot. Hey, I want to be part of your team now.
He even says something along the lines of, I'm ready to help out now. And it's like, well, first off, what have you been doing this whole time? And second off, you've known about Superman since Man of Steel. We've seen you. Also, you're working in fairly high up in the U.S. military. Are you not contributing there somehow? Like, what are you doing?
He's working for the military and raising Superman. That's what he's been doing.
You're right. You know, it's hard for a single Martian to raise a child after old Paul Kent decided to commit suicide by tornado.
I got you next time, fam. Yeah, but exactly.
My biggest beef with that whole bit is it's completely useless. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give her a pep talk, but her pep talk has nothing to do with anything because you know what she's doing? She's getting a coffee and going to the thing like she has been doing every day that she hasn't been at work since he died. So I'm going to give you this pep talk so you can do the same thing and save the day that way. It doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry.
And like you guys were talking about before, unless Martian Manhunter was Martha all along, it drastically undercuts the character of Martha Kent. Like, it took away one of her key things to do in this movie. It was like, oh, you thought that was Martha doing a really great thing. It was just a Martian.
Yeah, she's in like 2 scenes, maybe 3 scenes tops. And the most important scene she's in, or at least the most, from a character perspective, like impactful scene. No, it wasn't her. It was a man.
It actually took me out of the scene. Like I was like, oh, this scene, this is a great scene. And then was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It makes no sense that it's there. Just remove. I realized like Snyder's trying to do his original vision. And I'm guessing part of his original vision was a mandated set up a Martian Manhunter movie or something. Just like the original vision was a mandated set up Lex Luthor Deathstroke knows who Batman is for the solo Ben Affleck Batman movie that never came to be. You could maybe change that now.
Yeah, especially since now you don't have the the WB breathing down your neck, forcing what they want. You're like, now you have that opportunity to correct the wrongs, all the things that he said he was going to do, whether like there were other things that he wanted to shoot, like another Green Lantern scene that never even made it into the Snyder cut. And they were like, no, we don't need that. And he did it anyway. You know, like this is again off topic because it's not even in the movie, but like he had kind of full license to do what he wanted. So he could correct the wrongs.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, if you look at it, Ben Affleck looks different in that last scene with Martian Manhunter. So that's a reshoot. He reshot that extra stuff that sets up nothing.
Yeah. Can I?
And undermines the movie.
Melanie?
You reminded me, there was one good thing about that first movie, and that's that it made sure that there wasn't that Ben Affleck Batman movie. And then the other
killed
thing,
Ben Affleck's soul.
Yes.
That's the good thing about the Whedon cut.
And the other thing I wanted to mention to Paul in response to his paw and paw Kent, yes, we already discussed this, and that's why they couldn't have children.
That's our working theory, is that Martha was always Martian Manhunter, and that's why they couldn't have children, and that's why they were very happy when a strange little alien child landed in their field.
Hashtag Martha Manhunter.
Yep. Release the Martha Manhunter cut.
Yep.
Or wait, I guess
they did.
And I know we were talking about like the things that they added. Can I just say I was really surprised with all this extra time that they didn't have was anything to make Aquaman interesting in any movie, because in the Aquaman movie it like starts off like all these things are supposed to have happened and we know what's going on, but it didn't and we don't. And the first time around, the movie didn't explain anything, and this time around, it didn't explain anything more either. And he's the crappiest character, and all he's good for is to look pretty.
I did feel like we got more Willem Dafoe, which is always a plus.
Yeah.
We got Willem, and it's interesting, and I realized that, like, when Aquaman came out, this was not canon, this was not finished. The Justice League that we previously saw didn't really flesh Aquaman out at all, although I feel, whether appropriate or not, Aquaman had more character in the Whedon cut because they leaned, in the rewrites, leaned heavier into the Aqua Bro. And in here, we get Aqua Bro a handful of times, and then just another moody muscle guy.
Who carries shirts in his pockets or something, because every time he jumps in the water, he throws it away.
He shows up on shore to grab a
spiders that you smell.
He'll show up. Where does he get these? Why does he even bother? Because I'm pretty sure that, speaking of things that probably needed to not be there, like the one scene where he just shows up, grabs a bottle, and then goes off into the water. There's like cool music playing. It's got that admittedly very cool like slow motion splash where he's up on the rocks, you know. Mm-hmm. That scene served no purpose. There was no reason.
Is that the one where the village women all started singing and smelling his clothes?
No, that's the second. That's the second one where he shows up and then takes his shirt off to go back in the water. It's like, did you just like get out of the water, put a shirt on, grab a bottle, and then take it off to throw it again? Like, is that? I bet there's like he does it to impress the ladies so that he knows they sing folk songs about him as soon as he's in the water.
Yeah.
Aquamarine is super lame as a character anyway. Well, I mean, okay, that actually reminds me of the main thing I want to go before I try to give this movie praise and not just crap on it. Aquaman is a character that you can, I don't know that Aqua Bro is really the way to go with him, but I feel like his character is kind of like milquetoast baseline enough in most of the comics that I've read. I haven't read a whole lot of Aquaman though, so I'm sure there's hardcore Aquaman fans that would disagree, and they're probably right. But I feel like he is a character that you can work with. You can change.
No kidding.
People don't have a strong grasp of who Aquaman is. So yes, do what you want. It still kind of feels like they didn't really do that here. But that comes down to like the biggest complaint, and why I say the flaws here are carried over from like the Whedon cut and the Snyder cut. Like, it has the same flaws, and that is a fundamental mishandling of the characters. Mm-hmm. My number one, I think, maybe number one pet peeve of this movie. Batman's almost worse in this than the Whedon cut, even though Whedon cut's got Batman giving one-liners, which sucks in the same way. The scene where it's towards the end, because Alfred's kind of being like the negative Nancy or the like sensible one, like, are you sure this is a good idea? Maybe we shouldn't zombify Superman type thing. But they're hopping on the little like carrier thing to leave, and Alfred's saying something like, well, you should be careful or whatever. How do you know this is going to work? Batman turns around and goes, "Faith, Alfred, faith." And then I'm like, did Batman find Jesus? Oh, he did. He found Super Jesus. That's right. He resurrected. But like Batman, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't understand the character, it's not you could just gotta have faith character. He's a logic, I've got everything planned out since 2 months ago about the situation I just discovered. Okay, so like he is not you just gotta have faith, you gotta wing it character. And that's kind of my beef with Batman in this movie, regardless of the cut, is they're so like tied on to this arc that they want to give him of like he's dark and broody to the point where he's a murderer in the last movie. So what, we have to turn him around. He's going to be super optimistic. We got to get the team together. You just got to have faith. Oh boy. Mm-hmm. They're both wrong. Yeah. Why does it have to be so extreme? Like, and that's why I'm always like, these movies are so like surface basic in terms of like character development, because it's so extreme.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my worst moment, and this is by far. This is so low hanging fruit. Just get ready. It's so dumb, but it is the dumbest thing possibly said in this whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time, Batman is working on this flippin' carrier jet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the problem is? Do you know why this jet can't fly?
Because it's grumpy.
It's a software thing, says Cyborg.
She wants to fly.
She wants to fly.
She's
just doesn't have the software. She needs a patch, a service pack. That's all. That's the dumbest thing.
I didn't. The whole
Bar
like
none the dumbest thing. There's dumb stuff in this movie, but that's the dumbest thing I've heard all year.
There is some ultra cheese. Okay, that's the other surprise to me, is how much of the cheese in this movie, and there's a lot of cheese that wasn't in the original movie, because there's cheese in the scenes that weren't in the theatrical cut. The whole thing with that, oh, she wants to fly. It's like, no, she doesn't want anything. She's an inanimate object. You want things because you're a human plugged into an inanimate object. She's a machine. Like, anyway.
Can I, real quick, I'm sorry, can I jump back? I know we were done talking about it, but I'm not done talking about it. To Aquaman. Because it sucked, but it did, there was a little bit in there that I was proud of, and I'm like, see, they could do cool things with Aquaman if they wanted to, but it wasn't him, actually. It was the redheaded chick. I don't remember her name. And they stole some stuff from Avatar, Last Airbender, and she was bloodbending, I swear.
Oh yeah, she totally did bloodbend.
And I'm like, yes! Why? This is the kind of thing that you take maybe a crap character. All I can control is water, but the human body is like 70% water. So do it. You know, you can control people's movements if you use the character in an interesting and, you know, scientifically sound way. Well, I mean, magic powers aren't scientifically sound, but you know what I'm saying.
No, yeah, I mean that was a cool little bit, and it's real quick. It's when she's attacked. What's his name? Steppenwolf, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she's drawing like, and she made a bubble, and she's drawing water out of him, and then like it's turning red, so she's drawing blood out before he like tosses her or something. Yeah, no, that's super cool. That's if you get a chance to do a rated R Justice League somehow, and you have, albeit after many years of struggle, full creative control over it. Yeah, man. Bloodbend. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me think more of the kind of stuff that they did with Swamp Thing and, you know, the good Swamp Thing run, where they took a character that maybe seemed kind of boring and couldn't do much, and they did so much with them. And they could do that with other characters too if they actually took any time to try and develop them, but they don't.
Right.
But take time, but maybe not in this movie. Sorry.
Maybe not 4 hours.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going before that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, babe.
There was something. The characters. Oh, you were talking about Cyborg. I do want to say that, speaking of Cyborg, there were some, and I get it. Like, I don't know. I'm assuming maybe some of this was scenes that they did. From what I understand, the CG, sure, they ended up having like $70 million to fix up some of the stuff that wasn't incomplete, but like, so I get they had to rush through some of the CG. I was actually surprised at how decent most of the movie looked, given there was a lot of CG that they had to like bang out in like 6 months, as opposed to, I don't know. I read an interview with, I think we talked about it, where basically Snyder's wife, and, you know, she produced the film. It's like, we have literally half the time most movies do to do a lot of these shots. That said, there were some scenes where Cyborg looked real janky. And it wasn't so much in the texturing, it was like the movement, where he's like, his posture is real weird. I'm thinking specifically when he's talking to Wonder Woman, which I know is a scene they probably had to fix up because they had reshot that for the Whedon cut. Where his posture's just really weird, and then when he goes to turn around, like, I was like, whoa, your animator took the day off that day, huh? There was a few janky scenes.
Well, why did they waste so much time making Steppenwolf's armor like flip-flap? I mean, it doesn't really add much to the movie, in my opinion, personally.
Well,
But
because that was one of the go-to issues. A lot of people, that's in situation where they're like, they get to see the reaction to the theatrical and change things, and that's a model change. You change the model, re-render those scenes. Not to say those scenes don't have to take time to render, but you just have to fix the model once, and you have that model. Like, it's not, animation is a little bit more. If you change the animation, you got to change the animation in every scene that it appears in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall where I. Let's talk about good things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna talk about the things I liked because overall, I know we just trashed it a bit. I enjoyed it. I think it's not good. I think there's problems, but it is entertaining, and there are elements of Snyder's excess that I kind of liked. First off, I liked the weird, even though it doesn't make sense. I love the tone of the weird Superman death yell, death knell, whatever they want to call it, opening.
Mm-hmm.
I conceptually it's so stupid, and I get what they're doing. It is more of a conceptual thing. It's like, well, that's the thing that drew them to Earth. Except, like, what about 30 years before when there was no Superman for the all of existence? But whatever. Tonally, though, it's such a weird way to open the movie.
It's a risky way to open it because I was not a huge fan of it. I mean,
No.
I understand. I was like, it's okay. I mean, like, I can forgive it, but I was like, I don't like it. No, that was the first thing, and then he won me back. But like that first thing was like, I don't know about this.
I don't understand why the mother boxes would care anyway, because Superman was only on the planet for a few decades, and the mother boxes have been there for centuries or whatever, or millennia even. But now all of a sudden they're like, oh, now
No.
it's safe.
Conceptually, it's stupid. Like, it would have just been better if it's just like, well, now's the time.
Yeah.
Why? Why now? Why not? Fine. But they had to tie it into the death of Superman somehow.
They do that a lot in this movie. Like, why? Well, just cause. Why do we need so much electricity coming out of the Flash at the precise moment? Reasons?
Okay. Again, I feel like everything I liked about this, it's still like, well, conceptually, yeah, it's stupid. It makes no sense. Like the yell. Yeah, conceptually, it's stupid. But I liked the tone it set. Not the tone of the yell itself, but like just the weird kind of creepy tone. Oh, I did like also that the first couple of times when Steppenwolf shows up, the scenes start to play out a little bit like a horror movie. There are a few scenes where I'm like, he's just trying to go super creepy, almost horror movie. And anytime they can kind of break genre in a superhero thing, I'm a fan of. So I enjoyed that. What had you just said, Jesse?
About the yell being dumb?
No, there was something else.
Which part?
I don't remember. I'm trying to keep all the things in row.
I know. It's
because there's a lot of little.
The Flash, and his the weird Deus Machinas that.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. The whole Superman story plot, like Superman death plot line. Superman could easily not be in this movie. Even now, even like going with the ending where he kind of saves the day, but he's not like the sole thing that saves the day. I did appreciate that it was actually a team up movie end. That said, like he doesn't need to be here. The death of Superman story as it played out this way was stupid and it doesn't make sense and it feels shoehorned to try to connect it to things. However, their decision to try to resurrect him out of nowhere makes more sense in this. I feel like it's set up better, or at least their reasoning for thinking it's maybe possible makes so much more sense in this than the Whedon cut, where they cut so much stuff out of the mother boxes and how they work and what they even were. Like, you don't even ever get a sense of what they are because they cut everything that had to do with dark side and so much of the mother boxes, and they cut so much of that out that, like, I remember just being like, so why did they think they could bring, like, how did that come about? Why did they think they could bring Superman back? And there were also a couple moments that maybe were in the other theatrical cut, but I felt like not. Melanie even commented on it. When they dig him up, they even call out, like, Flash is like, I could get this done in, like, right away. And it's totally within the character they've established as Cyborg in this, that he's like, I want to do it for the mood. I want to do it because it's because it's a moody thing to be digging up Superman's corpse, and that's the mood I'm always in. But
the secret is I'm always half machine.
Yeah. But when they finally, like, they have the casket and they're rolling it into the back of whatever vehicle, the look on everyone's faces, that's the one, like, one of the best acted moments, is because the look on everyone's faces, they're all standing there rolling the thing into the back of the vehicle, and they all have the same look of, like, what the F are we doing? This feels so wrong. Like, just, like, disturbed. Yeah. And it's like, that's better. Appropriate.
That they are actually struggling with it.
Yeah. I just feel like that was set up way better in here. Also, like, why did they cut the Flash time travel aspect? I thought that was actually kind of cool.
They like I said earlier, I really feel like they did the Flash a lot better in a lot of ways, and in one of the most notable ways that they changed the Flash that I'm grateful for is that they cut that whole nonsense about, I've never actually saved a guy before.
Oh, one.
And Batman's like, listen, you only have to save one person and then do it again and again and again and again. And I was like, I'm so glad that they course corrected that.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And I'm glad that they didn't leave some lone poor family in Radiation Town,
right,
to need rescuing.
Yes, and that whole I've got a building.
Did the Whedon cut not really set up much about what that place actually was? Because it just kept, I mean, I know that was his whole thing. He set up that joke. That's Whedon's thing. He likes the long, especially if it's in a movie where you can tell he doesn't have a lot of control. It's like, well, just at least give me the one ongoing long joke that I can see throughout the whole movie and then pay off. And here, or in the Whedon cut, it is the most obviously tacked on thing. In Age of Ultron, it's the brother and the, like, but you didn't see that coming type thing.
Oh, Quicksilver, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't make sense that they were there. Melanie also had mentioned, and I'm sorry to keep, I'm just thinking of things Melanie had told me when we were watching it. It's like the fact that, like, that is why they keep having to find ways to have big action scenes where there's no people. It's like, well, now they set up in this, like, irradiated area where people just don't live anymore. I'm like, yeah, that's just because people are so upset about Man of Steel.
So the creepy Flash talk.
Are you talking about the slow-mo scene that I've heard a couple people say they liked, and I've heard a lot of people like that was terrible.
Also the Wonder Woman thing where he's just like, what do you think? Is she into younger guys? And, who was it? Was it Cyborg that was like, dude, she's like she's several, several decades, she's like over 100.
She's like 5 centuries old. We're all younger guys.
Yeah. We just kind of seems a little skeevier. Like he's, yeah.
I think his slow-mo, the way he did the slow-mo saving the, who I guess was supposed to be Iris West, although she's not an established character, obviously doesn't know him. She's never named. So that was a weird thing, non-existent thing that people were like, where's Iris West? She's completely cut out. It's like, well, arguably she's hardly there to begin with.
Right.
But the way he does that is a little weird with the face caress in slow motion. It's like she's not conscious of what's happening there.
Right. That's not really consent.
That whole scene is there's hot dogs flying around. That reminds me though.
Yeah.
That's very weird. I am surprised, honestly, how much humor wasn't purely Joss Whedon injected.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, and it's almost all Flash. He is obviously the decided comedic character in this movie, and I know Snyder, was being pushed by the studio. Needs more humor. Inject more humor. I'm really surprised at how much of the Flash's character was not Whedon. It's because there's actually a lot of humor in this.
Do we know that though? I mean, this is the Snyder cut, but he did make it after the other movie came out, so he could have like extra script stuff, and he already knows, like what people didn't like. So,
it was very clear that he didn't use any of that Joss Whedon stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good point, though. It's a very fair point.
It's just weird. It feels out of character for the movie and for Snyder. It's not unwelcome. I don't think he's particularly handled well as the comedic character. Like, it's a little kind of like lame, but it's not unwelcome. Like, it got some laughs just because I was like, oh my God, there are jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Paul says if Flash wasn't comedic, I would riot.
He's the only character that can really be comedic, Like, you think about everybody else, Aqua Bro is the only other sense of levity that we get, and he's kind of like the slacker of the Atlanteans, so.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do your job. I don't want to do my job. I'm not gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paul says by nature, Flash by nature is the lighthearted member. The lighthearted member of the team. I'm sorry I had such trouble reading that. I still find this version of Barry Allen weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because he's more of an amalgam. He's an amalgam Flash that's just named Barry Allen.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's a stupid non-thing, but he crashes really hard a couple times, and they don't really show him getting a lot of damage. But I mean, part of the thing with him isn't it that if he gets hurt, he gets really hurt, and it takes him a while to heal. I mean, they do play on that a little bit when he gets like shot or whatever. But crashing into a freaking wall, going, the speed of sound is probably gonna put him out for a while.
He trips twice in that scene in the tunnels or wherever they're at.
Mm-hmm.
The one we seen in the Whedon cut, and then the second time in the Whedon cut leads to the scene where he falls on Wonder Woman, and it's like, oh, I'm laying on a woman, oh, awkward, type joke. In this one, obviously that's not there, but he like crashes into some steps or something super hard, and it seemed like he crashed with his back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like impact, and it's like, oh, is he taken out for a moment? Is that going to have some type of impact? Nope.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, what was that? Why do that twice? I can see maybe once. Why do it twice in one scene?
Why run really fast to tink her sword up to her when she's going to come right down and land right next to you, right there with the sword? You didn't need to push it to her. She came right there to it. That was pointless.
It's shock and awe. That's all that is.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, it's visual. Yeah, because that's Snyder's. That's Snyder. Like, it doesn't have to make sense. Does it look cool? Job done. Like, that's it. Is it in slow motion?
Oh my
Job
God.
done.
I feel like we could save a good 20 minutes if we just nixed even part of the slow-mo.
I seen a headline. 10% of the movie is slow motion.
I believe
it.
And that's not even just, I mean, like, even if you just reserved it for the Flash, if you went Quicksilver on this thing, make slow-mo the Flash's thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. It's everybody's thing.
I liked the Flash bit at the end when he was running backwards in time or whatever. That was super cool looking. That's about it.
I love that. I love it because when the thing, again, spoilers, and this is, I guess, a legit spoilers because it's different. The end is different than how it went in the Whedon thing. Also, they brutalized Steppenwolf. They brutalized. Superman cuts his horn off, and I was like, wow, okay, yeah, they're gonna.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wonder Woman comes up, and I'm like, that's overkill. I think that guy's already done for, and you're gonna cut his head off after the fact. Just okay, let's do it.
Right. Just to earn that R rating,
right?
Which was again superfluous. Like this was
Not
barely
necessary.
R. It was like they took extra steps to make this more surprising and violent. And,
Like,
yeah,
one F word, PG-13. Okay, 2 F words, R. Yes.
yeah, like 2 or 3 tops, a couple swears.
Make that water red so she's bloodbending. No, then cut away real fast. So, and give Batman the F word. He's got to have at least one. Paul says, I think the sword scene sets up the final run scene. I feel like okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding what he's getting at. The mother box scene when they resurrect him, I think, is a pretty smart way to set up the reversing time aspect to where he can run so fast he reverses time, because the mother box falls there's still the stupid thing of like he's got to touch it right at the right moment, right as it touches the water. It fell into the water, but by the time he gets there, he's reversing time and it comes up, and that's okay. I did love that end though, where he does have to reverse time because they failed.
Right.
Everything blew up. The mother boxes combined, they blew up. They're dead. And for a moment, I was like, oh, like, because this is the Snyderverse, and this is not canon, and there's not going to be a sequel. They say he could decide, you know what? Let's kill them all.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Man, that would have been surprising. Holy moly.
Right. So I was, or maybe this is how we get to weird nightmare Batman scene.
Right.
They blew up, but also like zapped elsewhere. Instead, it's just the reverse time thing. And I thought that scene was great, except he kind of ruined it with his, like, the Flash's echoey monologue or whatever to his dad. I made something of myself, daddy. Whatever he says. And it's like, that is so cheesy. Why is that needed? And that's such a like lazy shoehorned, like, that's the Flash's character arc.
Right. It's the one thing he has in common with the Barry Allen from the comics.
Right. His dad's in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And he's studying to go to school to do something with police.
And his dad seemed really proud and like okay with him all the time anyway, so I don't know why he was worried about it, because his dad was super supportive, so he didn't need it. He didn't even need that.
He might have been the most oh, you know what? I don't know what his dad's like in the comics. I was gonna say that seems very accurate to the character. He might be the most appropriate or like comics accurate depiction of one of the characters in the whole thing. I do not like J. Jonah Jameson, Commissioner Gordon. I didn't like him before. No, listen. You get me pictures of Spider-Man or nothing. I don't want to see you talking to Batman. Spider-Man or bust, okay?
Right.
We finally watched that second Spider-Man movie. I know you're there. And you know who Spider-Man is. Don't concern yourself with Gotham.
Yes. He is the perfect J. Jonah Jameson. It's hard to see him as anything else.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a jerk like that, but he is so good. As JJ, that's it. I don't want him in anything else.
Right.
Or if I do, not Commissioner Gordon.
Right.
I'll take Gary Oldman, Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, bring him back. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, Gary Oldman's not really a good person, so, whatever.
Right.
Christopher Walken.
Oh my goodness. Whoa, bringing back some old school Batman alums.
Oh man. Right. Gosh.
What are you doing tonight? What do you think? I'm turning on the bat light. Fire it up
to the Batman.
Fire it up.
Oh man.
We're gonna get down tonight.
Christopher Walken, Commissioner Gordon, but then the Adam West Batman. And just listen to them talk. And then William Shatner as someone.
A super Irish, you're like Captain O'Hara.
It just be a conversation of starts and stops on everyone's part.
What's you so mad about, Commissioner Gordon? I don't know. I've got a fever. And the only prescription is more Batman.
Give me pictures of Batman.
Do it. You just throw in Arnold for no apparent reason. Do it now. Get to the bat signal.
So I feel like we're coming to the end of this review. Real quick, there were a few moments that I appreciated, not necessarily. This entire movie I appreciated not because it's good, but because it's what it is.
Yeah.
The folk singers or whatever, the ladies that sing as Aquaman leaves. First off, it sets up a weird thing, and she smells the shirt like, I bet he visits that village a lot. You know what I mean? I bet there's a lot of little aqua bros running around that village is all I'm saying. And it's so weird that like they all start singing and the tone of the movie, and this is shortly after the Superman death yell, and then there's the mountains and all this, and I'm like, it was a lot of trouble to get to this point. This is still a movie based on Justice League, produced by large studios, where they put $70 million into a movie that they'd already spent hundreds of millions of dollars into. And it's freaking weird. It's real weird. So I was kind of blown away by just that element of it. Like,
yeah,
dude, how? Zach, tell us your secret. How do you do this? How do you get away with it?
It was crazy. 2020.
I think you're absolutely right with that. 2020. How? Global pandemic, any number of like weird, horrible things. We're in the darkest timeline. Zack Snyder gets
HBO Max. We've got Rick and Morty. We need something else. We need something else just as dark.
Give me pictures of the Batman.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a great idea. Shut up, Morty. We're gonna make this movie again, and we're gonna make it longer. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love that it's twice as long. Just more darkness, less saturation. Heck, after we've already done it a second time, let's take all the color out of it and make it black and white, Morty.
You're right. They didn't even. It's not even just the Snyder cut. There's two versions of it.
It's the darkest cut, Morty.
The true way, which Snyder intended it to be watched in black and white, in 4:3 format, like old TVs. Yeah, I'm sure that was the true way while you were shooting this movie. No one wants the Justice League like that. No one. Oh, okay. I did want to say, all this said, I want Justice League 2. Okay, I want that movie now.
Do you?
I
we haven't even talked about the nightmare scene.
# restore the Snyder cut. Okay, restore the Snyderverse. Paul sent me a message shortly after this movie come out, and it was just like pictures of Twitter. It was # what was it? Restore the Snyderverse, and he's just like, GD it, just he was upset. I'm kind of on board. I want it now. Because you're right, we didn't talk about the nightmare stuff, or really the dark stuff. Listen, I only got one shot with the Zazzle eyes, the whatever you call it, with the crazy laser eyes that just zigzag all over.
Right, yeah.
Like, I was like, that only works in comics. It doesn't. And I want more. I want one shot of it. I want more.
Right. Oh, well, and then there was that whole scene where, like, oh my God, the final battle with Steppenwolf and the Steppenwolf and the mother boxes and the Unity, and they finally get the portal to open, and Darkseid's just like, the hell? they all just stand there, Desaad and the whole granny goodness. They all just live like, wonder what that big hole's all about.
They were just getting up to like go eat or something. It's like, all right, well, let's watch how this plays out.
Like they haven't been talking to Steppenwolf. They would be like, oh, a Steppenwolf over there. I bet if we just walked through this hole, we'd be on the world with the anti-life equation.
Yeah, why are they waiting? We got to wait for
what
the
should we
sequel.
do? What should we do?
Well, it's the same thing with not exactly, but the Themyscirans and the Atlanteans, they're like, oh, this evil that all of our people had to come together to fight and defeat is here. So five guys go take care of it while we're just gonna stay home. Really?
Yeah, they must look at Aquaman as like just a loser. This couch surfing loser that keeps hanging out outside of our city. You go take care of it. Mm-hmm. We'll probably kill you if you try to come in the city.
That sandbagging Aquaman. Meanwhile, Martian Manhunter's like, hey guys, call me next time.
Yeah.
I'm doing important stuff. And so Lois, what you doing? You're not going to work? Oh my god,
it's so weird.
The freaking and the whatever the Amazonians. We can't go anywhere or do anything or help anybody, but we're gonna shoot this arrow and start a building on fire, and then the world will know what to do. Really? Okay.
Yeah, my whole thing is
like, Wonder Woman's over there like trying to ignore the news. Like she's just like, wait, like she's just like, nah. What are the chances? Wait, what?
It's a good chance that it was like a slim chance that she would have even known about that.
Right. And she doesn't own a TV, remember?
Themyscira, they got problems because they're like, well, like the emergency fires or whatever, and they're like, the world of man won't even know what that means anymore. It's like, well, then your emergency system is broken. Then you probably should have done something to avoid that situation. If you feel like it's needed an emergency system where you can warn the world of man, maybe keep in contact with them once in a while so they know who you are.
Go buy an emergency cell phone,
So less half an army pointing spears at a box and more cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
And Melody also made the point, like they have sticks and they're shooting at him with arrows. Like he has teleportation mother box technology.
Right.
Men have guns. Like what are you doing?
Jeez.
Lasers.
You have like golden wing armor somewhere from the 80s.
Yeah.
That's got to do something, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paul says she'll know. Yeah, no.
and then here's the real kicker. They were talking about her name escaped it. Yeah. They were talking about the old
Linda
one,
Carter or whatever.
Yeah, Linda Carter. They were talking about her.
Yeah.
Instead, we got you.
It's Gal. Oh, I mean, good. I mean, thank goodness.
That's what we meant.
That's what we meant that all along. It was right there in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
I was also surprised at the Wonder Woman introduction action scene. I, for whatever reason, thought that whole thing was a reshoot. It wasn't. I mean, it was a bit more brutal in this version.
Right.
Also, I get Wonder Woman's supposed to be fast. She's not the Flash. And she does some Flash stuff in that. It's still a cool scene. I get deflecting a bullet here or there, but like to a fully like auto machine gun?
Bam.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And why do they need why do they need to spend all this time fixing this troop transport thing when all but like two of them can fly? Just do the buddy system and just get there. Stop wasting your time.
He really does like spend a lot of time messing around with that ship that they don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess he uses it to blow into the dome thing, which they cut out of the theatrical, but I laughed. I like it, but I laughed. It seems funny to me for some reason. They do get their like slow-mo team up Avengers type shot, because towards the end when they're like all rushing to the main place in that irradiated city or whatever, and it does the slow-mo and they're all there, there's flying through the air. Batman, it's the Batmobile just like ramps. I was just like, I guess I don't know how else you would do that shot, but it's so funny to me that it's all of them like flying and stuff or running super fast and the Batmobile, because you can't do that. It makes sense. I get it, but it made me laugh. It's just something.
If there's a town without tall buildings, Batman's a little bit useless.
Right. Also, he loves
single
guns.
bound.
He loves some guns.
Yeah.
His guns may not be lethal, but everything he does with guns. I guess, whatever. What he needs weapons. What's Batman gonna do? But
And
even his
Shot through
grappling
the
gun
heart,
looked like a
and
gun.
you're to blame. You gave love a bad name.
this
Callback.
this I don't know if it's a thing that was in this one or if it was in the old one because I don't remember the old one. But parademons don't look like Batman. They look like the Mothman or the Blue Devil or something. They don't look like Batman.
Or
Yeah,
a
that one
bug.
guy's descriptive sketch of a parademon looks suspiciously like Batman. I think the police officer was like, so it was Batman, you say? No. Paul asks, so does Batman have radiation poisoning now? Because he's human. Okay, they said the city was safe now at one point. They're like, it was abandoned because it was, whatever, irradiated. But, the levels have gone down, but there's nobody there.
Mm-hmm.
Except Steppenwolf's like, this place is tainted or
No,
poisoned or whatever. This is perfect.
When they shoved the mother box into it, it absorbed the radiation, they said.
Oh, that's right. They did say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Steppenwolf real quick. Other than the look, I was actually a little surprised at how differently he come across.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's simply, he's still a very thin character, but he's a character. He has motivation. He's not just evil guy there doing things. He's doing things for he's the forsaken son or whatever. Like he effed up at some point, and he owes Darkseid 50,000 worlds.
Yeah.
But so, I felt like that actually just that little bit went a long ways to actually. It's like, okay, he's not.
It gave him a backstory.
He's not Killmonger, but
yeah,
it gives him something. Yeah.
right.
Also, and maybe they amped up a little bit of how much Darkseid was in this, but I'm surprised at how much Darkseid we actually got to see. I remember in the theatrical being somewhat where was Darkseid? I mean, being somewhat excited when there's the one mention somebody says die for Darkseid once in the whole movie. It was like, oh, Darkseid, cool, because he's he's the big bad.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe how much of him they cut out.
Yeah.
The fact that that's it, that's all we get. They actually some of that. There's that flashback or whatever info dump scene that Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, gives, and it's Darkseid. And they had actually, I didn't remember that scene, but they had parts of that scene in the theatrical, and they had replaced Darkseid with Steppenwolf. It's like
when they changed the Green Lantern. I think the Green Lantern was he originally an alien?
I don't think
more
so.
Humanoid in the first cut.
No, he's like a monkey-looking alien now.
Yeah.
And they cut his hand off, which was kind of brutal. That's definitely something I think they added since they knew they had rated R. Let's see. If he doesn't give up 50,000 worlds, does he end up in a slab of carbonite on Darkseid's wall?
That reminds me of another thing. These are not the first alien beings they've had contact with. And Cyberman's dad works in a lab that specifically works on alien technology. So when there's an alien coming for you, maybe instead of your first instinct being to murder yourself, maybe go try something out, See if there's some other technology you could use against this alien, some alien technology that might be just as powerful as him. Maybe try that out first.
That was the most pointless sacrifice.
Yeah.
His dad sacrificing himself for no reason. And at first you're like, wow, that was really for no reason. But then it's like, but he warmed up the box, so now they can track it.
Right.
Except he still didn't have to be in there with it.
Right.
There's no way they designed it so that it only works when you're standing in there with the horrible death ray. He went in there, activated it, and then just stood there as the doors closed. It's like, did you know you're going to die? I'd rather take my chances out there with the big monster where I could maybe run away.
Right.
Weird decision. Not weird. Lame. It's a lame. Again, that's character arc. Kind of. It's not really an arc. It's just like we got to give Cyborg more tragedy.
Now that I think about it, that's totally in character for his dad. He's like, my son's dying. I'm going to throw this alien technology. I don't know what it does at him. There's an alien here. I'm just going to go die. You know, he just makes poor decisions.
No, yeah, that was purely just like to give Cyborg character motivations, or
you should not let somebody with poor impulse control run your extraterrestrial technology department. Okay,
he really does. Like he says at one point, he's like, the quarantine restrictions. He's like, I wrote them, but then like later, he's like, this is a false alarm. I gotta work on this. I've been in quarantine all day. It's like, you don't know it's a false alarm, dude.
Did he give the Bernie Sanders defense? I wrote the damn bill.
Mm-hmm. He just left lockdown for being in proximity of an extraterrestrials. Then when the extraterrestrial alarm goes off, he's like, no, it's fake, dude. You just came from a quarantine. Why would you assume that instead of a particle that they didn't catch is on me? Instead, nope, it's all fake. This dude, man, he's dumb. No wonder.
Hi, Eric. By the way, Eric White says, I kind of feel like somewhere in there he was trying to upload himself to the computer via Tron technology. Yeah.
So you've heard of Ghost Dad. This would be Ghost in the Machine Dad.
As soon as he grabbed on, I was like, dude, you don't give Dyson, what was his name in Terminator? You don't give him anything with a big red switch because you know stuff's going to blow up.
Right.
But the whole time I'm like, you don't let the Skynet guy in charge of your science facility. You just don't do it. They should have known.
Right.
Better. They're like, nah, we've seen what you did with Terminators.
You get one robot arm, you turn your son into half a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And it's not just this. It's like every freaking show I've seen with, what's his name? I keep calling him Cyberman, and I know that's not it.
That's Cyborg.
Cyborg, which is just is simpler. I should remember it, but I don't. His technology is always like going against his wishes. I mean, why would you want to? I can't stop it from trying to shoot Superman. Really? Right. You don't have like an override code or something that to stop you from murdering people randomly?
They didn't set that up in this at all. Okay, so
yeah,
Jesse, did you ever check out Doom Patrol?
Just bits of it. I didn't. Where did I get to? Like the second or third episode or something.
Oh man, you gotta keep watching. Anyway, they set that up pretty well with Cyborg in there. Who's younger guy. Is Cyborg just moody? Maybe that is. He's pretty moody in it, but he's got dad issues, whatever, and obvious mom issues, but in a different way. But they set up like him losing control of his system way better, I feel like, in that show. Mm-hmm. Whereas in here, it doesn't really make sense because his dad's just like. So his dad, the mother box just kind of did that to him. How does his dad know really anything about it? But he's like, you're the most advanced, whatever. You could do anything. You control all the nukes in the world. By the way, don't give your moody teenage son control of the world's nukes and all bank account balances. Mm-hmm. Hi, Clara. What's going on? That guy was full of bad decisions. Mm-hmm. But I've totally lost track of what I was saying. It's just like he has all this. That was it. He has all this like control.
Right.
He's the most powerful
the whole time. Yeah.
Entity virtually in the world. Like he controls everything except his own body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This
you can
one
hack
time.
Every system. You hacked all the nukes except your own security bot system.
You know what you just made me realize? Cyborg is more powerful than Batman because what is Batman's superpower, as someone mentioned earlier?
He's rich.
Right. And who is in control of bank accounts now?
Right.
Oh.
Cyborg better than Batman? Here's the thing, though.
Cyborg could be Batman.
Cyborg is this movie's Batman.
Yeah.
He is so much moodier. the Batman is in this movie. Batman's like, you just got to have faith. I'm going to go listen to some Limp Bizkit now.
It is a remake of a remake of a remake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric asked, didn't Papa Cyborg study the box for a long time trying to crack the code on how to exploit it? Yeah, and I mean, he kind of did to a point if he was able to, like, hey, fix my son.
Yeah.
But at no point did he, at least it didn't seem to establish well that he really had a strong understanding of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if it was awake for any like extended period of time, then Steppenwolf or Darkseid or any of them would have come sooner. So it's not like he had it, like he only had like little bursts, and he it felt like that was a Hail Mary. Oh, football reference, because he's a football guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. You know what? It makes more sense now that Cyborg's armor, or I don't know, whatever you call it, technology wouldn't listen to him, because if it's a freaking mother box, they all seem to have their own agendas and none of them are good. You know what I mean?
I did kind of like, I liked the further explanation of the mother boxes and that stuff. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was much more fleshed out.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And the felt like there was more of a story around that, like the whole thing, like even the conclusion, where Cyborg's got I've got an interface with the mother box. I'm the only one that can help tear these things apart once they've been locked together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric points out their agenda was chaotic neutral. That's exactly it. They're benevolent. They don't, or
Not benevolent.
Yeah, they don't really care. They don't. Good and evil isn't a concept to them. They're just
benevolent, but ambivalent.
Ambivalent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not concerned about that. They're just like, apparently.
They're me when I play D&D.
Who's my master right now? What do they want? That's what I'm gonna do. But in like,
never had a friend like me.
In Cyborg's case, Cyborg's not evil, but man, he's so angry. I don't know. Like,
angry and self-absorbed. I'm gonna cry because I'm, a piece of amazing technology that can do anything I want. And I'm also
always naked.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's never dawned on me before. Same with RoboCop. It never dawned on me, but I'm like, dude, that's his body. He's just naked.
Mm-hmm.
Doom Patrol Cyborg at least puts on some pants most of the time. So
yeah,
it's actually kind of weird now that you mention it.
See, you don't have to CGI pants. Which the final
practical
scene,
effects for the
final scene, or the nightmare scene or whatever, he does throw it off eventually, but he first shows up and I was like, he's got the cloak on, and I was like, smart, because this is definitely a reshoot. They want to keep those effects to a minimum. He's got a cloak covering that robot body.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, maybe somebody's like, dude, put on some clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Insert genie gif here.
And
never had CGI. A friend like me.
Well, fortunately, I didn't spot. Not that I was looking. I didn't spot any CGI Robodong, but if it was there, we'd have noticed.
This is Gotham, not Manhattan.
Although Doom Patrol, okay, keep in mind it's Doom Patrol, which, by the way, I highly recommend that series. I know it's got some real base humor occasionally, but man, it's so good. Cyborg has sexual relations somehow, so maybe that's why that version of Cyborg has to wear pants all the time.
Yeah.
Joker. I can't believe we haven't even talked about Joker.
About that. There's 4 hours of this thing.
I know. And then we're gonna wrap it up. We gotta stop now. CGI Cyber. That's the extended version of the Snyder cut. That's the Snyder on cut.
But physics have gotten so much better in CGI. I need to show you. My mind is going through dirty things, and I'm like, I can't say that. Nope, can't say that.
can't say that. Moving on. Okay, I do want to share the story again. I'm sorry to do it where I share Melanie's reactions, but we're watching the scene with the Joker.
So now we're in the epilogue again.
That scene seems so jarring because it's like we're wrapping it up. Everything's fine. Everything's fixed. Everything's back to normal. Suddenly we're in another future, or another time or another world. It's something, but here's Batman. It's like, wait, no, we just seen Batman. He's fine. It's a very jarring segue, but then it's like it does kind of establish it being something else, another whatever.
Lois is dead. No, she isn't. Martian Manhunter told her to go back to work.
So they sorry. So apparently originally, Snyder was like, yeah, Justice League Part 1 and 2, that was part of his plan. And apparently that wasn't necessarily involved with like the Injustice type storyline. I think it was still going to be more of like strictly like a dark side type thing. And then at one point, apparently they're like, well, we're going to focus more. We want to do Justice League versus Injustice League or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize it till afterwards, but I'm like, oh, they totally set up not just like weird, like, they set up Injustice more than they set up, because I had always assumed that the like nightmare sequence from Batman v Superman was like, if they fail, this is Earth as apocalypse, the dark side has succeeded, which might be kind of the case, but they totally set up Injustice, which is, not a canon tale. It's an Elseworlds thing to sell video games, but the Injustice comic is actually pretty decent. They actually hired like a decent writer to do the tie-in. And in that, Joker, which apparently is also something that he's done in other comics, nukes Metropolis, killing Lois Lane, who was pregnant, and they set that up in this movie because Melanie spotted it. She had a pregnancy test
in her drawer, which is just like a little like, Joker nukes Metropolis.
This is how we get Brandon Routh Superman,
And then in the is it? But in
Superman's Return. Yeah, sorry.
It was in Cyborg's flashback in the right before they revived Superman that we saw crispy Lois Lane.
Yeah, Superman's holding somebody super crispy, and it was apparently Lois Lane.
Yeah.
So which is pretty dark. And then in the comic, in the Injustice comic, then Superman is like, I'm going to do the thing, Batman, that you've been too much of a coward to ever do, and goes and rips Joker's heart out. And then it's like, oh, well, Superman's just bad now, and he's going to take over the world. And that kind of seems like what they set up here, mixed with Darkseid. And actually, that flashback you're talking about, that Cyborg, or that flash forward or flash sideways, whatever it is, that premonition that Cyborg has, isn't that this Superman with Miss Crispy, and then Darkseid comes up and is like, I'm your father, or whatever, it's like he's gonna die for Darkseid. He's gonna join Darkseid, and
yeah.
So that's what they're setting up. And man, if we're gonna get moody Zack Snyder stuff, you gotta give us more evil Superman, because that's when it fits. Then we're not concerned with like, this isn't Superman. Go the complete opposite then. Then embrace, no, it's not. This is evil Superman. This is Superman 3 Superman, or whichever one of it he split.
Split him in half,
because he's super Henry Cavill. If you can't let Henry Cavill or Caramel be charismatic, then embrace the evil, because he does intimidating very well.
Henry he does everything very well.
He's great. We love him.
Yep.
America's sweetheart. He didn't eat nobody. That was another guy that used to be buff.
You know what?
You don't know what I'm talking about? That okay? I'm not gonna get into it.
This movie misuses alien technology constantly, because again, there in that scene where they're reviving Superman, if the freaking like super advanced computer alien system is like, don't do this. You're gonna doom the future. Maybe listen. I don't know. But I guess when you're made of other alien technology that you know nothing about and don't try to control,
you don't listen to regular Siri. Are we going to listen to alien Siri?
Eric says, I'm just gonna, you know what? We were talking about Sarah Palin briefly for some reason at the beginning of the show. English is a living language, all right? I embrace that. It's my one
That's a very Maverick approach of you.
Yes. Eric says, I hated the nightmare scene. I'm so torn on it. I just want the movie that would be. I don't think it would. It's not the Justice League movie I want.
It doesn't fit in this epilogue. It's so jarring in this epilogue.
It doesn't make
sense. Like it's like, man, I don't know where you put that, but not right there. It's such a weird thing.
That should be its own trailer, and it should not be a dream because dreams are a freaking cop out, especially with Batman. It's like the faith thing. Batman is not the I'm going to believe in my dream, type of person. He's the I'm a nightmare I'm living through type of person. So that anyway, what they should have used was Flash,
Oh yeah, that would have been a better dream.
He already went there and then came back to warn Batman. We already established he's been to the future. Just use him, have him go there, be like, what the heck's going on, and then end it. I don't know.
Well, and we do see. Okay, so
yeah, I like that better.
I didn't.
But then you wouldn't get a pointless Martian Manhunter scene.
I don't understand it.
Right.
Still, stop it. Why is that there? I don't hate. Okay, the content of the nightmare scene is questionable. I don't hate it only because they've already set it up, and after watching the theatrical cut of Justice League, I was like, I want to know what's with the future Flash. Because I hated that they played it off as a dream, and they still play it off as it was a dream. Bruce Wayne, I had a premonition. It's like, no, you fell asleep, woke up, the Flash was there, then you fell asleep again, I think. I don't know. It's stupid that it was a dream. It doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to point out that in that dream, Martian Manhunter didn't help this time.
No.
He said he would. He said I'm there next time. But maybe not really. If next time is set in a future where Superman's crazy, I'm out again.
Maybe he did though. Maybe he just sucks real bad. And like that's what happens when he helps. It's like, you know what, Martian, next time stay home.
I swear I put it on my calendar, but I didn't push save. I put it on my calendar. I forgot to save that change. And so I just I slept in, guys. Sorry.
He's like a colonel in the military or something. What?
Apparently he's not very useful anyway, because when the big bads were talking, they were like, there aren't any lanterns or kryptonites, which were Kryptonians, which again is weird to me because you got to a planet that to them, I think, is supposed to be a random planet. Kryptonians are only going to be superpowered on certain planets, right? Or do I not understand? So they shouldn't even. It shouldn't even be. There's not a lantern or a Kryptonian. Like there's, no superpowered beings maybe.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think Kryptonians are probably like generally played stronger than humans, but yeah, it's Earth's sun that makes Superman.
Right, but I'm just saying they weren't like, oh no, there's a Martian Manhunter here, because they don't care. Because they're not scared of him.
We know him. He's lazy.
they never show up. They just kind of say they're coming.
They're like the Athenians and the
Atlanteans.
Like Atlanteans.
They don't really care.
They want you, Lois Lane, to go to work so they don't have to. You lay about.
They're the middle class apathy of the DC universe. You know what? It's not really affecting them.
Right.
It's
fine.
I don't have time to go buy a cell phone to communicate. Psh.
Okay, Eric says Kryptonians are superpowered on planets with yellow suns.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
except in the red sun. No, I'm just kidding. That was
that's
still yellow sun. I know.
No, isn't the red sun bad though?
Well, the red sun just makes them normally powered.
Okay.
It
and
strips them of their power.
I was kidding anyway. I was referencing the, where he's
where he's a Russian.
Yeah.
Right. Which was good. Batman had the Russian hat with the ear.
Yes.
It's ridiculous, but fun.
I love
It's a
that.
good comic. Joker.
Oh yeah, that.
I
So many rabbit holes.
just because of how weird it was, I liked him here more than Suicide Squad. Just because
I mean, it was an improvement.
Terrible.
That doesn't mean it was good.
He's legit creepy. Oh, I didn't even get to Melanie's reaction. So there's the part where Batman takes the card from him, and he and the camera focuses on the hand, and he's holding his hand, and it starts shaking. Melanie hid her face like we were watching The Office or something. She was cringing at that so hard.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing to her.
It was horribly embarrassing.
I feel like that's not the reaction you want out of a Joker scene, where you're like, oh.
I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed.
Joker.
I'm embarrassed for you, Snyder. I can't even watch.
Or Leto. This is Leto's second chance.
Yeah, but
And he still sounds like he's channeling a different performance with every line delivery, which might be intentional, or maybe I don't know. It's so weird. But if they're gonna do the weird, and they've there's precedent for it in comics, of course, the weird super attracted to Batman interpretation of Joker, which is pretty much just the comics Joker. Well, it's okay. I haven't read comics for a while, but last I read through the storyline that kind of set up with Batman and Joker kind of dying from a fall, and their blood pooled together to make a heart, and that was the Batman canon main series DC Comics. It was good though. It was good, but it's like, oh my god, really?
Is the Tom King run?
No, it was just before. It was the last arc
Scott
Capullo
Snyder
and Scott Snyder, yeah.
Huh.
The good Batman Snyder.
Right.
Who, by the way, I noticed the other day had tweeted, he's like, I wish I had a cut of something I could put out. And he also had said something about, was it him? I feel like it was him. Is it bad that I've stopped correcting people when they congratulate me on the Snyder cut?
wait, was he the one that was like, no more magic in the Injustice thing?
No, that was Tom Taylor, who is somebody I also follow on Twitter. He's a great writer. And Tom Taylor, speaking of Tom King, not only gets confused with Tom King a lot because he also writes DC and Batman stuff. He tweeted that he was complaining that reviewers will attribute his books to Tom Taylor. Amazon has some of his books listed as Tom Taylor or Tom King. I'm sorry, as Tom King. And so whatever names. Listen, if you're write comics and you have a name, you're somebody else.
Right.
Okay, I feel like we've done it.
Man, I think so. I hope so.
It only took us half the time to get through this than what the movie took.
Right. Yeah.
Huge full screen CGI sesame seed.
Oh yeah, it was. It was.
It's like every time the Flash is on screen, it's a different movie. The tone shifts completely. There's slow motion hot dogs and sesame seeds and hot dogs flying next to ladies flying through the air and what?
I don't care how many dogs are around. You don't stick hot dogs in your pocket. That's weird and wrong, and your pocket's gonna stink. Okay.
Oh.
I did like it. Melanie, I think, commented on it too. I did like when the only thing about that I really liked, the song, Snyder, he's got to stop with his song selections. The song.
There's a lot of choral music. Like
and
a lot of people would call it the Hallelujah song as something would happen.
I can tell Paul's ready for the end of the episode because he's already hitting us with the hashtag release the 100, hashtag restore the Grawlix verse. What are you talking about? We don't know what you're talking about.
Poll list. What's that?
A poll list. That's a man of war. Somewhere Matt D's not even listening. His ears just started.
He's just like,
huh?
Wait, are the Grogs podcast talking about comics again?
Anyway, the part where the best part of that scene, where Flash shifts and his shoes like disintegrate. It's like, yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like the speed. I hate it. I like the speed effects, except his running is so goofy. I'm like, how does the CW nail the Flash running better than you? How?
Because they don't slow it to, like, when he's running fast.
Right.
When he goes into, what is it? Flash speed or flash vision or something? I don't know what Cisco called it, but like they got a name for it.
Mm-hmm. No.
That's the only time they go super slow.
The issue is he runs with his arms hanging all weird out the side like a bird. That's what his
like
problem is.
Bigfoot run.
There's got to be some reason they did it that way. Like, is there some, like, there's got to be some basis. Maybe not. It is weird. It's real awkward, but also, like, they do that thing, and I'm like, I get that you don't want his legs going, like, that might look goofy, but having him in slow motion, the world zipping by, when he plants his foot, the ground is still sliding by at, like, super fast speed, so he's just sliding. His feet are sliding. I'm like, that's just not good. That's not physics. I don't know who that is.
Okay, Phoebe Buffay is a character on Friends, and there's a whole episode where Phoebe runs crazy, and Rachel's like, I can't run with you, Phoebe. You run weird.
Maybe, you know what, though? Maybe that's it. Maybe they're like, how do we make Flash funnier when he runs? Have him run like Phoebe.
Lisa Kudrow. That's the key.
It's weird. Maybe there's some, like, science behind it. They're like, well, he puts his arms this way so... because he's really kind of flying. I don't know. It's very strange, though.
Right.
We solved the Snyder Cut.
We did it. So our overall review is it's better. And there's so much we hate.
There's a lot of interesting...
It's better, but we feel ashamed for having to give it 3.5 stars. Those of you who do.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching it, honestly. I was actually a little surprised. That 4 hours, I didn't mind it. Like, it did not stretch like I thought it was going to. For me. If I had to watch it a second time, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. That's where this boils down for me, is like, it's so long that there's no way I'm just going to randomly go, hey, you know what I want to do with half of a work day?
Yeah.
Watch this movie again.
Yeah, I think upon a rewatch, the long sequence of the chick singing to Aquaman as he leaves, I'd be irritated by that. Basically anytime is Aquaman, like, most of those scenes are unnecessary.
Yeah, because they don't further any story
or character or anything. Yeah, there's no point. Kudrow received a nickel every time the Flash runs on a screen.
Smelly cat.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you faster than that?
What were you going to say, Melanie?
Shoot. I was going to say the only good thing about Aquaman is that we get to see more
abs.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't mind that, but for you guys, I was thinking Willem Dafoe.
Oh yeah.
And
that was the main plus of Aquaman for me in this movie.
Right.
I was like, oh, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, he looked better in this
a delight.
too.
Yeah, he looked like a human.
I think you just think everybody looks better because they have long hair and you have a preference for long hair. But
he had like a man bun in the Aquaman movie, but he looked like a robot.
Yeah.
Well, underwater, I feel like they're all CG'd in that movie. Right. Probably this one too, but we got him not underwater.
In an air bubble.
Well, and there were a lot. I feel like about half or better of his scenes in Aquaman were flashbacks, so they de-aged him. So even when he wasn't underwater, he was still CG'd, and it just kind of looked weird. And you're right, the man bun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't man bun it.
Man buns actually aren't that bad to me, and I think my opinion should matter more because I'm a woman. But his hair's too thin. His hair's too thin for it, so it doesn't really work for him.
Yeah, I mean, a long hair Willem Dafoe is a little strange anyway, but any haired Willem Dafoe is strange because it's Willem Dafoe. He's great, but he's always going to look a little weird.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair enough.
It was not as bad as I thought. I think I think it's a bigger improvement on the theatrical cut than the Batman v Superman extended cut was on its theatrical cut, just because I kind of like this a little bit better. The stupidity in here is dumb, but it's not as Batman v Superman drugged more for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I fell asleep more. Well, I mean, like I'm at the theater nodding off, and I hate that. Then, like, nothing makes me more frustrated than spending a boatload of cash to go see a movie on a huge screen, and I can't stay awake. Right.
But it doesn't help when they make the chairs like recline all like a bed.
Yeah, and it's dark, and
and Randy's so warm.
Paul says,
"Yeah, that is a real problem, Randy." Come on,
hipster Defoe. No, well, and Batman v Superman, for whatever reason, I still had my bar wasn't super low on that one. I liked Man of Steel, and I acknowledge its issues, but I still enjoyed it. I went to the theater. Was it twice or three times? I say it twice.
I think you have a thing for wub machines.
I love me a good wub machine. I do.
You do.
To be honest, the boom tubes also boomed a little bit, not as satisfyingly as they should. But I remember being very disappointed in the theatrical cut. I'm like, it's a boom tube. Where's the boom? And in here, it was a delayed boom. They'd zoop out, and then there'd be a boom. But there's a little bit of a boom. Superman's the wub machine in this one.
Yeah.
But so I think I had higher expectations going into Batman v Superman and was knocked much lower than pretty much anything that came after it, because I'm like, I'm not doing that again. They're all going to suck. So then when I see it, I'm like, it at least entertained me.
Yeah.
It's a plus.
Right.
All right. Hey, Melanie.
Yes.
Anything we should be amazed about?
Sure. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the deep dive of this because it's
Aquaman joke there.
it's more than anyone wants to listen to besides me maybe. But people made, or scientists created, a sonic black hole, which is kind of fascinating me. Sound can't escape it. And they're using that to study actual black holes. And it's much easier to make a sonic black hole than an actual black hole. Sound travels much slower than light. You can make one in a lab, so which they've done. But I thought it was pretty great, and it also helps prove that Hawking's radiation is real. Which, if you care about physics at all, which I know most people don't, but if you do, it's pretty cool. So,
well, in at least the article you sent me really dove into kind of the not really, I think, or those otherwise it'd be indecipherable to me, but really dove into the kind of the science of black holes a bit, which was interesting.
Right. But I'm trying not to do that anymore with these, because I know I've heard people say so many times I didn't understand anything you said, so I'm trying to keep it light if I can.
But it's also it's kind of like not contested, but like hotly debated among scientists, because they're like, well, it's a cool experiment, but it doesn't necessarily prove anything, because it's not a one-to-one type scenario necessarily.
You're right, but we can't create a one-to-one type scenario,
right?
Because we would all die.
Imagine the boom on that one, though. Let me ask, does it wub? I might be down for black hole creation if it's a wub black hole. It probably doesn't, though.
No sound escapes. Where could the wub come from?
You're right.
I know.
A sonic black hole. It's the opposite of a wub machine.
Yup.
You're looking for wub in all the wrong places.
The anti-wub.
The anti-wub equation.
It's gonna wub me the wrong way.
Oh boy.
Getting worse and worse. Okay.
Wubba lubba dub dub.
Okay. I was just catching up on comments. Paul, one last thing on Snyder Cut. He had 5 years to figure out what he wanted to, where he wanted to go with it. I hope he figured it out. We should be amazed it wasn't 6 hours long. If he had the budget. Slow-mo every scene.
Slow motion, the movie.
Dude, if he had his way, he probably would have had the first half be this movie and the next half be Injustice. But
I'll take Injustice, man.
Yeah.
Of the movies, Man of Steel, a Superman movie, a Batman v Superman movie, a Justice League movie, and an Injustice League movie, the one movie that didn't get made is the one you should have gave to Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But also, don't hand your whole universe over to him. He makes pretties, but he's not great with the stories. Okay. I don't have anything else. Jesse, you got anything coming up you should mention?
Nothing really for me, but I did want to throw my shout out first of all to Paul again one more time. Check out that episode of Release the Snyder Cut episode for sure, and then go through the list because he interviews lots of awesome people. Also, Eric White, thank you for joining us tonight in the chat. Visit Eric White's art page. He's a phenomenal artist. I have a few of his pieces up in my office here. You can't see it, but I've got a Big Lebowski up there somewhere, and then I've got a Greatest American Hero over here behind me. You can visit his website, which is geekywhiteguy.com.
Cool.
That's great.
That's a great URL to have, right?
Yeah.
So please go visit that.
All right.
I didn't do it, but I wanted to make my... This is the off topic. I wanted to make my video black and white. Just be like, this is the true way.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't.
Darn the baby. I could have been black and white if it weren't for that dang baby.
That works though. That's more artistic. That's like the Schindler's List of alien baby artwork.
The Schindler's List. You can only watch it once. Or what?
But yeah.
And every time you think about it, it makes you kind of sad.
Oh,
well,
Paul's right. Your screen is too wide. Here we go. This will fit on Vero, so this is what he likes.
Closer to 4:3 aspect ratio now.
It's a little much, but it'll fit on your cell phone, which is the true way to watch any cinematic film.
On your phone.
On your effing phone.
Right.
All right. I was feeling claustrophobic. All right. Yeah, I don't have anything else. So, everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. People of the future, thanks for listening on the podcast. I'll try to get it up before Wednesday. But, whatever. Listen.
Wednesday-ish.
It's all fluid. Otherwise, have a great weekend. And take it easy, everybody. There was a breath. I was like, what's she gonna say? Oh
no, I was storing it up for my goodbye.
Post. Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.